Trigger warning for life-threatening situations and assassinations.
Woo!
It's called smut. Give me smut and nothing but a dirty novel I can't shut if it's uncut and unsut.
Like, I have a friend they're trying to have a baby.
Yeah.
And I would love them to have a baby so I could play with the baby. Because I don't want my own baby anytime soon.
And it's like, I love you and you're fulfilling a lifelong dream of being a parent, et cetera, et cetera. But I get to pick up the baby.
For like a day.
I get to smell the baby.
I don't even know if I need to. Well, what if it poops? I don't want to smell it then.
Babies have like such a unique smell, though.
That's what people say. I don't think I've ever actually smelled a baby.
Oh, they're like, you know how most like animals have a distinct smell too?
I guess, yeah.
Like cats have a distinct smell.
Yeah,
Dogs,
yeah.
Babies, like the tops of babies' heads smell very specific.
Like, I've definitely seen that in movies or like books or something, and I've just never experienced it, so maybe I have to experience it.
You will experience it, and it's very weird.
Listeners, if you're out there, if you have a baby, let me smell the head
of the baby, and then please write in and tell me if you disagree with me. But I think that it does, for me at least, like as someone who has never wanted to be a mother, it still conjures that thing of like, always a baby. I keep saying this. I think I said this and my mom got mad at me. I was like, I just want to rent the baby for the weekend. She's like, it's not like a thing. That's what being an aunt is.
I can't remember. Yeah, exactly. I was talking to somebody and they had a kid. Oh, one of my roommate's friends came over for her birthday and she had a baby with her. And I go, oh my God, like, it's so cute.
Yeah.
And I said that, they go, it has a name. Like, he has a name. And I go, did I call the baby it? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, oh, sorry. Like, it's just a thing.
We haven't been formally introduced yet.
You know what? I don't know the baby's gender.
I don't know what the baby identifies as. I don't know their chosen name. I don't know if they even have one yet. Mm-hmm. They could be just trying to like figure it out.
All babies are its, but all dogs.
All babies are they thems.
All babies are they thems, but all dogs are little babies to me.
All dogs are babies,
and
most dogs are girls.
And most dogs are girls, and all of them fall under the nugget category. I go, oh, that's a little nugget.
Just a nugget. It could be like one of those Irish wolfhounds. That's a little puppy.
Every time I see one, there's one that lives in our neighborhood. I really want to ride it.
Yeah. You're short enough that you probably could.
Short enough, but
I couldn't.
Large enough that I could break it.
I don't think you could.
Or him. I feel like an Irish wolfhound is a him.
Yeah. It's the facial hair. They've got beards and mustaches.
It's the beard.
Welcome to Femmes Reading Filth.
Welcome to Femmes Reading Filth.
I'm Jess.
I'm Emily.
And this is our Valentine's Day.
Yeah, there's no one else here. It's just us.
It's just us because we are each other's Valentines.
We are intimate in friendship.
Can you hear how intimate
we are sitting next to each other?
It's weird.
We usually do, but this is a different type of sitting.
It's really weird. I'm not used to just talking to Emily. I don't usually talk to her outside of the podcast because we're not really friends. We just pretend that we are.
I'll make sure to make a mental note to cut out that thing where you said we had a 2-hour dinner earlier.
Yeah, don't blow my cover.
Sorry.
I'm trying to be like aloof and cool.
So sorry. No, you are my Valentine.
Aww.
All my girlfriends are my Valentines. I usually have some sort of Galentines Day thing.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited for this year.
I think it's a great tradition.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'd like to continue it this year. In past years, there were 3 years in a row that all of the 50 Shades movies came out in theaters. Mm-hmm. And we would all gather. I'd get a group of girls, and we would gather, and we'd go to Buffalo Wild Wings, and we'd get a little drunk, and we'd eat Wild Wings, and then we'd walk over to the movie theater, and then we'd have purse wine.
Yep.
And it was I think those are some of my favorite movie-going experiences.
I did that with you once, and it was amazing because it was one of those theaters with the
packed,
with the reclining, ladies. Comfy seats, full of drunk women who had snuck in alcohol.
Yeah.
And everyone was just screaming at the screen the entire time.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
And like laughing at all the right parts that you're like, that were probably not meant to be laughed at, but everyone knows
there was no like problematic laughter. Like everyone knew what they were doing there, and it was clearly was there to fuck around. It was great.
But then at home, I guess I've always hosted, and like we'll have pizzas. We'll have like Luminati's pizzas shaped as hearts, and we'll just have a bunch of junk food
and wine,
and get a little drunk, and we'll watch another like either rom-com or just like kind of smutty movie.
Yeah,
that's just fun to like drink and watch with your friends.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
It's truly one of my favorite. And as someone who I've only ever had one Valentine's Day where I've had a partner.
Yeah.
And I'm not like sad about it. It just is how it is.
No, I know.
So I've had one.
We are referring to him in the past tense for a reason.
Yes. I'm famously on this podcast, famously single.
Right.
But I've always had a very lovely Galentine's Day. So the fact that we're doing this together and we are giving each other these stories.
We're giving each other. Emily's giving me a Kindle Unlimited that she thinks I would love for Valentine's Day, and I'm giving her a fanfic, and I'm so excited.
I will say when we devised this plan, I thought I was giving you something to literally read, and then you would tell me the synopsis of the book that I know
you had given me,
that I had given you, and that you would be like, here are my thoughts.
Right.
And so when I was going through this, I contacted Sammy Mole, # friend of the pod.
Yep.
# maybe my twin. We don't know.
I mean, a little bit. You guys have such similar star placements. I know I've said it before, but it makes it so that when you're in the room together, you can't hear anything else over the shrieking. It's just two loud tornadoes running around.
Yes, that's
making
true.
sure everyone feels comfortable and getting everyone water and snacks.
Making sure everyone feels comfortable. Oh my god.
Yeah. I mean, am I wrong?
But I sent her a list of like 5.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think she'll hate all these, but you should read them and tell me. And so she read like 3 of them. She's like, Jess will hate this. She'll like the beginning of this. She'll do this. So I have a list of ones that I curated for you, but like.
After this, I want to hear the list.
Yes, I'll tell you about it.
Great.
But that was my little journey with it. But how about you? Did you have any?
Oh, I had a whole journey.
Yeah.
So at first, I was like, okay, Emily clearly likes mafia, like darker kind of things. And I had a couple fics that I had read that I had in mind. And I was like, okay, maybe these. And then I was like, well, you weren't really active in the fandoms of any of those. And so I went, okay, well, what about if I pick some from fandoms that I know you like?
Yeah.
And so I reread a Ted Lasso one that I love. I reread a Parks and Recreation one that I love. And I ended up picking the Ted Lasso one. I summarized it. I had notes. But then we hung out like 3 days ago.
Oh, God.
And you mentioned something, and that sparked an idea. And I just looked it up on a whim. And there was a fanfic that was perfect.
Oh, my God. I had no idea what I talked about.
Yes.
I'm so excited.
Do you want to get into it?
I do. Yeah. Do we? I guess I should just say, because we did not pick a trope. We didn't pick like Valentine's Day.
No, these are just fics that we picked
for each other
that we think the other one would really, really like.
Yeah. So
So this is a selfish episode. Thank you for hanging in with us.
And you can get the fuck over it.
We're thrilled.
We're allowed to be
We're
selfish.
so excited. Okay. All right. You ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. So like I said, I was going to go with Ted Lasso to make up with the blue balls for the blue balls of the Mercedes one, right? Mm-hmm. But then you mentioned Indiana Jones the other day, specifically Indiana Jones 2. And I was like, oh, I wonder what Indiana Jones fanfic is out there. Mm-hmm. And I found That One Time in Istanbul by The Devil Chicken.
Oh, my God.
It is 1 chapter. It has 2,356 hits. It was published on February 13th, 2017.
How perfect. It's a Valentine's Day.
Yep. It was published for Chocolate Box Round 2, which is a fic gift exchange.
Okay.
That happens on V-Day.
And you did one of these. You did a gift one for, was it Halloween?
It was, I think it was.
Was it Kinktober?
It was New Year's.
New Year's. Okay.
But that's a fairly common thing that like people who are in a fandom community or just who are known fanfic authors, that's a known thing to do like a fic exchange or something around Christmas.
That's cute.
With your friends. Yeah, it's adorable. I love them. So, but the surprise is it is a crossover fic. AKA 2 or more fandoms combined in one fic universe. Oh my God,
wait a minute. Is this Indiana Jones with the mummy? Is it really?
So who do you think Indy's paired with?
Rick O'Connell?
Yes!
Oh my God.
Yes.
Oh my God.
This is an Indiana Jones, Rick O'Connell, the Mummy, Indiana Jones mashup.
This is like
fic.
My dream / nightmare /
I found it and I was like, oh my God.
Was this written for Emily?
I know.
Oh,
I know.
That's so funny.
Yep.
Oh my God, that is literally perfect for me.
Yes, I know. I'm so excited.
Oh my God. Okay. Yeah.
But in keeping with the format of the podcast, Emily, tell the listeners like the basics, the Cliff's Notes about Indiana Jones and the character of Indiana Jones, and then the Mummy.
Why did you say it like that?
I was going to say Indy, and then I kept going.
Indiana Jones.
And then The Mummy, specifically Rick. And then a little bit about Evelyn as well.
So, Indiana Jones, there are 4 movies. A 5th one's coming out soon. There are actually also books about young Indy. There was, I think, a spin-off series starring River Phoenix.
Oh.
Or, I mean, maybe it was supposed to star River Phoenix.
I didn't know
I actually
this.
don't know if it ever went into production.
That's kind of sad.
About him, I know. He's an archaeologist, and he goes and finds these artifacts. In a lot of his movies, he is against, like, the Nazis, and he's trying to stop a nefarious plan, but also, like, he's hired by the government a lot to find something because he has less than savory means of getting it. He always wears a big, not fedora. Is that like an adventurer's fedora?
Yeah, no, it's not a fedora.
Not a
It's
cowboy
like
hat, but not a fedora.
somewhere in between.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like the adventurer's hat in my.
And
in
his
my
like
head.
not field costume is like very professor-y.
Yes, he is a professor
Yeah.
when he's not out being a hands-on archaeologist.
A rugged archaeologist.
He wears like his in the field thing is like this hat. He has a whip. He wears a brown leather jacket. It takes place in the 30s. The first 3 take place in the 30s. The 4th movie takes place, I believe, in the 50s, or like right after World War. It's like during the Cold War.
Mm-hmm.
He always has like some sort of plucky female sidekick, and he's very straight-laced and very rugged and handsome, and I love him. And I've watched many a documentary and stuff like that on him, and they were talking about, like, the director or the creator was talking about it to, I think it's John Williams who does the music for it.
That sounds right.
And he's like, well, I need something about this guy. Like, how do I score this movie? And the person was like, actually, this guy will run and he will shoot people and he'll get into fist fights and he never loses his hat. That's the kind of guy this is. And he goes, got it, exactly.
Oh, that's cool.
Isn't that just like a funny thing? And then The Mummy takes place in also the 30s.
Always loses his hat.
Always loses his hat. Rick O'Connell is like a mercenary. He meets Evelyn, who and her brother Jonathan, who want to go to Hamunaptra and find some archaeology stuff because Bembridge scholars rejected her application again, and they end up unleashing a mummy, and it's a whole thing. But then in the end, spoilers, Rick and Evelyn get together, and then there's a second movie in which they do it all again with a child in tow. And the third movie takes place in China, but no one talks about that movie. And Rick O'Connell is played by Brendan Fraser, and he's very tall and muscular and very quippy and fearless and hot.
And also kind of a mercenary type, but not a professor.
He starts, not a professor. Evelyn is like the smart history person.
Yeah.
There's a line where he like finishes a sentence that she's saying, and she goes, "You know your history," and he goes, "I know my treasure." So he's kind of like a treasure hunter mercenary when it starts out, but then like by the end of the series, he's like with her in everything. So that's kind of a very quick synopsis of this. Yeah. Go.
Okay, so
so stupid.
So some notable tags: first meetings, first time, hijinks and shenanigans. Literally
it.
Our tags.
Literally, if I was an AM3 fic, my tags would be hijinks and shenanigans.
So this is so they're using in this fic what's called a 5-time structure, which is very common in a lot of fanfic. So usually it goes like 4 times that so-and-so did this and the 5th time that they did this. Or like 5 times that X and Y almost kissed.
Got it. Okay.
And so the structure of the fic is kind of like not a full narrative, but it's snippets of each of
their
these.
History.
Yeah, of the history of this pairing.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a montage.
Yeah, it's a montage, and it's really nice for fanfic, especially if you are
know
familiar.
the backstory. Mm-hmm.
So you're kind of jumping around, and a lot of the time it's filling in stuff like between the already established story
betwixt
too. Between. Okay. When they first met in the field, it was irritation at first sight. So they're running through the South American jungle, trading insults, and they're both looking for the same ancient artifact. And they get past the darts and the falling floor and the rusty blades and the hidden wooden stake pits, and Rick acts very rashly, and when they get to the wooden idol on the pedestal, he grabs it, and then the whole place starts to fall down, pissing Indy off. He gives him like an intense glare as he runs, and they come to a quick stop in front of another very spiky pit, and it's too wide to jump across, and Rick says, well, crap. Did we take a wrong turn back there? You were leading, Indy replied. Why don't you tell me? I was leading? You were. Well, crap. Indy shakes his head, pulls his whip from his satchel, and Rick eyes it, brows raised. Is this a sex thing? Rick says. He says, this is a sex thing. It's the wrong place and the wrong time, and I'm absolutely the wrong guy, except for that one time in Istanbul. We don't need to talk about that.
Oh, these are all going to be talking? Okay.
And Indy ignores him, just scowls, cracks his whip around a vine. Rick wraps an arm around Indy's waist and belt, and they swing across and then kind of stand there, not dead, a little too close, looking at each other on the other side of the pit until Rick says, you're my hero, Indiana Jones.
Oh, my God.
With a mocking hand on his heart. And they finally get out of the cave safe, alive. At the end, Indy's like, yeah, I got it. I've got the artifact. And Rick trips him and runs away with the idol. And by the time Indy reaches the river, he sees Rick on the other side of it, speeding away, blowing him a kiss.
Aww.
That's the first time they meet in the field.
Okay. That's the first time they meet.
In the field, yeah.
Okay. Got it.
2 years later, the second time they meet in the field, Rick was just as annoying as ever, is the quote. They're running around the Louvre in tuxedos, being chased by Nazis.
Okay.
And the Nazis are dressed as waitstaff. And there's a centuries-old page of a manuscript inside of Indy's breast pocket, and he's determined that this time he will not be one-upped again.
Okay.
And so he's very aware of this page in his breast pocket. And as they're crouching behind a statue of Venus de Milo,
Venus de Milo.
Thank you. Indy pulls out his whip just in case he needs to defend himself, because whips are like really practical weapons to have.
Against the Nazis with guns, yes.
Right, absolutely. And Rick says, is this a sex thing? Because if it's a sex thing, Istanbul. And Indy says, I know, it's the wrong place and the wrong time, and don't ask about it. We're really busy right now. Can we move on? And Rick kind of grins at him and like gives him a little and goes for his guns, and they kind of shoot and whip their way out.
And they shoot and whip. Got it.
Yeah. And they run for the exit into an alleyway with the Nazis on their tail. And they realize like that they're right behind them. They need to do a distraction. And so Rick does the classic action movie thing where he pushes Indy up against the nearest wall and kisses him. So the Nazis are not looking for homosexuals.
Yeah.
Well, the Nazis are looking for two adventurers.
I feel like that would stop them in their tracks. But anyways.
So they're like...
There's flaws in this plan.
Yeah, but it seems to work in most movies.
Okay.
And this time it works again.
Oh, that's funny.
And so they like kiss against the wall until the flashlights pass them by. And Indy says, smart move. And they go their separate ways. And when he gets back to his hotel, he's like, I have the manuscript. He doesn't have the manuscript. It was pickpocketed from him.
Of course
while they were making out.
Oh, my Lanta.
And there's a note in its place that says, better luck next time. And he can't help but laugh.
What is Rick doing with all of these artifacts?
He's working for the British Museum.
Sure.
Probably.
Sure, you can say that.
Why does he... Because I don't know the Mummy as well as you do. Why does Rick do what he does?
Because Evelyn wants to do it.
Okay.
Well, the first time he's like a mercenary. He's
right.
And he's been there and he has to lead everyone back. But the second time, like Evelyn is part of... Is she part of Pembridge Scholars then? I don't know. But he's always with her.
Yeah.
And they just go on these adventures. But anyways, go. But
I'm just realizing that I didn't ask you to like tell everybody of the Mummy and Indiana Jones, because I just assumed everyone knows about the Mummy and Indiana Jones. It'll take years
for me to talk about it. But I will say it is funny because those do, time-wise, actually match up quite well.
Yeah.
Which I guess I never realized that, but that makes me very happy.
This author realized that.
This author is just my new best friend. Okay.
Go. Okay. So, better luck next time. He can't help but laugh. A year or two later, after that, quote, the third time they met in field, Indy was ready for him. They're at a half-sunk temple on a Greek island.
Oh, that's sexy as shit.
I know. There's something there that the British Museum wants, and Rick is working for them freelance since Evelyn could still stand him even after the divorce, and so she sent him on his way. They did.
Oh, no.
It's a quick line of like, Evelyn, and they got divorced.
Okay.
Yeah.
For the story.
For the story. So it was Marshall College versus the British Museum.
Okay.
And Indiana Jones is having a great time because he's got this kind of friend a little bit, and they're kind of competing with each other, like who can read Greek the fastest and solve riddles, and running through a temple and being like, well, that's what Artemis does in the phases of the moon, and we should go that way.
So attractive to me.
I know.
Oh my God.
I know. There was a mention of Artemis. I was like, I need to add this to my notes.
I love that.
And they're wading through a corridor filled with water, and Indiana Jones, Indy, has a flashlight and is like, I don't know where Rick went, but I'm going to fucking beat him there. And then Rick comes running up behind him, splashing, holding a torch. Okay. And he says, we meet again, Dr. Jones. And just gets a scowl and a roll of the eyes. And he kind of like, Rick kind of laughs and leans against a wall by the door at the end of the hall and triggers something with his elbow.
Of course he does.
And it moves the brick. And the whole place shudders, and the door starts to open and starts to sink down to reveal the hidden chamber. And he kind of is like, whoa, and stumbles back. But it's underwater. And so Indy takes 3 very deep breaths and then dives under the opening door and grabs the statuette that they're both there for their respective museums, and turns and sees Rick right on the other side, and he's been pinned under the water by a falling rock, and he's in terrible trouble.
Air. He has to give him air through his mouth.
Maybe he does. Maybe
I've seen this one before.
And he dives down to try to move the rock, and he can't move it, and he comes back and gets air and then goes back down, and he seals his mouth over Rick's to give him oxygen. And Rick, like, kind of, like, now that he's not fully drowning anymore, kind of nudges Indy's whip and points, and Indy understands that he means, like, okay, use the whip to move the stone. Use that whip. And so he uses it to, like, wrap around the stone and then jam it into the door. And so as the door lifts, so does the whip and so does the rock. And so it lets Rick go free.
Got it.
And they finally, like, swim out of there and make it to the shore. And they're kind of laying on the beach, catching their breath. And Rick says, I think you might have kissed me, but you did save my life. And Indy says, yeah, and I'm regretting it already. And you owe me a whip. And Rick says, is that a sex thing? Because if it's a sex thing, and Indy just goes, and then it cuts to black from there.
He's so angry.
He's so grumpy, and Rick isn't. This is also a sunshine grumpy.
Yeah, it is. I mean, Rick's not the most sunshine person, though.
But comparatively.
Compared to Indiana
comparatively.
Jones, yeah.
The fourth time.
Angry, so much scruff.
That they meet in field. Rick was the last person Indy wanted to see. It's been like 14 months, and they're in the Himalayas. And there was a line that said, I don't know why they ended up here. They're both more desert and jungle type people.
It's true.
But they're in the Himalayas looking for a monastery of some kind. And Rick is who's it seems that the author has determined that Rick is the damsel in distress, because
which is silly, but go on.
But like, he does tend to get into more shenanigans, I feel like, than Indiana Jones.
But usually I would say, because, well, I guess in his pairing, he's like the big, strong, burly man,
right?
And Indiana Jones, while being like kind of strong and rugged, he was never like muscular. He wasn't like Brendan Fraser as Rick O'Connell is very tall and muscular.
Yeah.
And Indiana Jones is, I mean, it's perfect, but
yeah. But I do feel like Indiana Jones probably would be a little more capable in a pinch.
Yeah, I think he's more experienced,
right?
More weathered.
He's more weathered. Yeah. I think that's fair. So he slips on ice and falls into the icy river that they are hiking next to. Rick does. Okay. And once again, Indy doesn't even hesitate. He's surprised at how quickly he acts. He runs full tilt down the river, slipping and falling and blowing out his ankle, actually.
Oh.
And finally throws that handy whip as a line for Rick to grab so he can pull him out. But by the time he does, Rick is ice cold and not breathing.
So let me guess, they have to take off their clothes and do body heat. Am I right?
Andy gives him CPR, and then he comes back, and then they make it to the old monastery. Okay. And they're both shivering, and they have to take off their clothes and do body heat because they're getting hypothermia.
Okay.
But Rick is way more bad off than Indy is because he was in water. And so just to distract him, Indy says, "Tell me about Istanbul." And Rick laughs and says, "Why don't you tell me, Doc?" And so Indy starts to talk. He was pretending to be in Istanbul for a conference and a lecture, not to acquire the sapphire that was in his jacket pocket. He was sitting at the bar in his glasses and his brown suit, sweating because it was super hot, when he heard, "You American?" next to him. And when Indy says, "Yeah," the stranger asks to join him for a drink. They order drinks and talk a while, an hour and 2 and 3. And Indy kind of is like, you know what? Either this man is incredibly friendly or he knows what I have. Like, he's a fellow. He's a mercenary or an archaeologist. There's no way this man is talking to me for this long.
Out of the kindness of his heart.
Yeah. And the stranger asks if he has a room here. And Indy says, "Yeah, I do. Do you want to go upstairs?" And the guy grins and gets up and orders a bottle of scotch. And they go up to Indy's room. And as soon as the door closes, Indy is ready to fight. And the guy just, because he's like, this guy's trying to get the sapphire that I rightfully stole.
Got it. Understood.
Yep. But the guy just asks his name and introduces himself as Rick.
Okay.
And he asks, like, okay, so what are you doing here, really? Like, I know that you're not just here to, like, talk to me. Like, you must want something from me. And Rick kind of is like, wait, was I wrong about you? Stepping a little bit closer. And he says, no, you weren't wrong. I'm just wondering, what you actually want. And Rick says, I'm glad that I'm not wrong. And Indy says, are you really? But what are you doing here? And then Rick says, well, I thought that I might start by kissing you. And then taking off your tie and then your shirt. And he finds that all the kind of witty things or like the fight that he had stored up to say are gone when Rick kisses him. And he knows that it's not his finest, smartest moment, and he knows what's going on. He's still almost certain that he's going to be robbed and that he should have sent Rick away, but he kisses him back instead.
Okay.
And as things escalate, they realize that they need lube, and Indy goes, I'm going to go get this. And Rick goes, oh, no, I will. And Indy's like, it's because he's trying to steal the sapphire. He's going to look through my shit, and I know he's going to do it, but he lets him go anyway. And then in his search for stuff, Rick holds up Indy's gun and says, what do you need this for? Being a professor and all. And Indy says, well, you could never be too careful with all the pickpockets and thieves out there. And then Rick holds up his whip and says, is this a sex thing? And Indy says, well, maybe you'll just have to wait around and find out.
Oh, my God. So much flirting.
And oh, my God. So much banter. I'm not even doing justice to the amount of banter there is in this fic because I can't just read it verbatim to you. And
you don't have time.
You don't have time. And then after they have sex, they sit and they just continue to drink and hang out. And then as they're having sex again the next morning, Indy says, you're not going to try to steal it? And Rick grins and says, not tonight. It seems kind of unfair, all things considered.
Can I ask who's the top and who's the bottom in this situation?
Indy's the bottom.
Okay. That's kind of what I thought.
Yep. Yeah. It makes sense. I don't know why, but it does.
I guess.
Yeah.
I could see it going both. I could see them switching.
But yeah, so like they're mid doing it and Indy's like, you're not going to try to steal it? And Rick's like, not tonight. We're having fun. Yeah. It seems unfair. I'm not going to do that to you. And it's still there in the morning. And so is Rick. And Indy takes it out and tosses it to Rick. And Rick says, man, I wish that I had gotten there first. And then they have sex again. And then Rick leaves. No sapphire in hand. And flash back to the Himalayan monastery. And Rick kind of laughs and says, I can't believe that you remember all of that. And he stopped shivering. And Indy says, that sapphire is still in the museum at Marshall College, but the plaque is really sadly lacking in information about how it actually got there. And Rick's like, oh, it didn't talk about us having sex. He's like, no, it kept it very academic. And in the morning, as they prepare to set out, Rick kisses Indy, and Indy realizes that he never stopped wanting that ever since Istanbul. And after all the times they met in field, obviously...
It's been like literally years.
It's been like 12 years.
Yeah.
And then it's like, after all the times that they met in field, those weren't really the only times that they met. There'd been galas and parties and museum openings and visiting each other to ask for opinions before Rick had even met his ex-wife. They had known each other, and they get back from the Himalayas, and what is her name? Evie?
Yeah, Evelyn.
Evie picks them up from the airport, takes one look at them and goes, fine. takes them back home, doesn't even blink an eye when she catches them making out in the library.
Jesus. Wait, so they still live together?
No, she just like gives them a place to stay. After she picks them up from the airport. Yes. They like, she walks in, Indy like jumps back and she says, "Don't be such a prude, Indiana. Just please do mind the first editions."
Oh my God.
And 15 years pass since then, with churches and vaults and scary temples. And when Rick says he unleashed a mummy, Indy believes him. And when Indy says that he saved the world, Rick believes him, because sure, why not? This might as well happen. And the 49th time they meet in field, it's by design, back in Istanbul at another conference at the same hotel. And Indy is sitting at the bar, and Rick says, "Mind if I join you?" And winks. And Indy laughs. And that's the story of the rest of their lives.
Interesting. That is, I mean, yeah, that pairing makes sense.
It makes so much sense.
That's so funny to me.
There is one other fic with this pairing by a different author.
There's only one other fic?
One other fic, and that one is entirely, it's the same kind of format where it's snippets, entirely sex scenes.
Damn.
Of them banging in the field and the various scenarios where that happened. This one was more of a like love story.
Wow.
With a plot.
That was adorable.
Yeah.
I like this style, the snippets, the montage style.
Yeah.
That's super fun.
I think fanfic, because you already have the background, you don't need the amount of like kind of progression.
World
like
building.
you already, you know the world already.
Yeah.
So you can do this. You can kind of fuck around and skip and do a true montage.
And that's fun that you put them in places that like the fans would know or are acquainted with or something like that. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, and I'm sure, because I mean, I don't know these movies as well as you do. I'm sure there are things that if you read it, you would go, that I just didn't even pick up on.
We should watch The Mummy together.
Yes.
We should also watch all the Indiana Jones movies.
All of them.
And the second Mummy, but not the third Mummy. Fuck that one.
How many Indiana Jones movies are there?
There are 4. The 5th one's coming out soon with
Phoebe. Phoebe Waller-Bridge?
Yes.
Really?
Who's the singer? Phoebe Bridgers.
Phoebe Bridgers.
And Fleabag is Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Yes.
Yeah.
Phoebe Waller-Bridge is in the 5th Indiana Jones. I think she is playing like his goddaughter or something.
Oh my god! So is she the main character?
She's like the woman character. She's the plucky sidekick.
Yeah.
Because if it's Indiana
she'll be a great
Jones,
sidekick.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the 4th movie, it was Shia LaBeouf was the sidekick. I am excited to see the 5th one, actually.
Yeah.
And I know Harrison Ford's like, what, in his 80s now or something?
Gotta be close.
Still smash, let's be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
Love him.
And what I liked about the fic and just this pairing generally is I think there was a good juxtaposition, because I feel like Indiana Jones is gruff and like just kind of a little more serious, and everybody around him is what's funny.
Yeah.
Like he's the straight man.
Yeah.
Whereas I feel like in The Mummy, Rick is often like the funny one.
Yeah.
Like he's a little lighter of a character.
And what's interesting, like if Indiana Jones ever says like a joke, it's in the most straight-laced way
it's a straight
possible.
face.
Like,
yeah, it's a dry joke.
Like he yells about snakes and he's just actually mad about it, but it's funny to us.
Right.
And then like Rick O'Connell is like, he's really funny because he's very sarcastic.
He's kind of silly.
He also has like his sidekick, or he's Evelyn's sidekick, and you know, some people. But she's so klutzy. She's so like accident prone, and he's like helping her and like watching out for her, but he's like still funny about it. So it's really, that is a fun pairing because they're both kind of the protectors, but yeah, Indiana Jones is definitely always going to be the straight-laced one compared to Rick O'Connell.
Well, and that is one of my favorite tropes to read, is like two very competent people realizing that they don't have to be quite so competent around each other because the other person is also has this handled.
It's like a you and me situation.
It's like you and me. Which one? Okay, wait. Are you Indy or are you Rick?
No, I'm clearly Rick O'Connell in this. Okay. I mean, we're not lovers.
Okay, I mean,
yet.
Not yet. One day.
Sorry, Keenan.
In Greece. Actually, I will find you in Greece.
We're both going to be wearing linen pants. No, I'm clearly the Rick O'Connell in this situation.
That's probably right. Yeah. I'm drier than you are.
And
I have a whip.
That was you. Oh, Jesus Christ.
I have a machete and a whip.
I don't know how to. I've never seen the whip, but I've seen the machete before.
Yep. And now to get into the fic.
So, I mean, I picked something that out of everything I love, I think you would like the most.
Okay.
But I fully expect a lot of eye rolls from you.
Oh, okay.
I also did want to say I did read a whole other book, and it's called Filthy Hot, and it's part of the 5 Points Mafia series by Serena Ackroyd. And I've been the latest books came out, and I think I told you about them. And I picked the 5th one because I was like, I can synopsize kind of the first 4 because you can kind of read it as standalone, but you need to know some back stuff. I read it, I did all the work, and I realized how dark it is. Like how dark and like it's too dark for the podcast.
Okay.
Just to give you that much of a synopsis and stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of the other ones I picked were bully romances, which you do not like.
Hate them.
So I did not pick a bully romance, but the theme in which I went through my big list of stuff to my thing was I wanted to try and pick something with like a strong female character.
Thank you.
Which I thought you would like.
Yeah.
So I picked Ivan by Sophie Lark.
Okay.
She's a pretty good author.
Yeah, I think I've read something.
She's
of
written
hers.
a ton of books.
Yeah, she sounds familiar.
And it is 219 pages. It came out February 12th, 2020. Also, kind of
right around Valentines
Day. It's Sloane is an American assassin. She is 31, and her father was an ex-CIA operative.
Okay.
And Ivan Petrov is the head of a faction of the Bratva in St. Petersburg.
I think I have read this.
Oh my God, have you
I
seriously?
think I might have read this.
Oh, I can't. Wait, really?
Hold on. I need to pull up my KUs.
Oh my God.
1 second.
And you hated it. That's going to be so funny.
No, I don't. It might have been one of those that you kind of open and then skim and then don't. If I did read it, I don't think I finished it.
So I really liked this one because, and I ended up reading the next like 3 or 4 in the series when I first read this, because this is the kind of mafia book in which it can get kind of dark.
Yeah.
But it's the nicest guy out of the mafia. Like they have some morals. Like they're not going to kill a woman and children, but they're going to kill the guy. You know, it's like they have.
I read some of the ones down the list, but I did not read this one.
Oh my God, because this is the first one.
Yes.
Which ones did you read down the list?
I think that I read, Roman, and I think I read Roman. Yep.
So Sloane is undercover as Amanda Wallace in a strip club, and she's been there for 6 weeks trying to get close to Yazin. Also, a lot of these are Russian names and Russian things. I will try my best to pronounce them.
I believe in you.
He is the minister of the Admiraletsky district, and she has been hired to kill him.
Okay.
She is an assassin. She's a contract killer, and she doesn't take bad contracts in her own terms. So she doesn't do like a cheating husband who wants to off his wife.
Right.
She picks contracts or is assigned
like truly bad people.
Yeah, she picks truly bad people. And so this guy is not great. And so her usual way is to poison somebody with aconite, which looks like kind of a like a heart attack, I assume.
Oh, okay.
And this guy is also already like overweight and whatever. So the night that she finally plans to kill him, he is meeting someone in a private room at the strip club. And so she is with her other stripper friend and they're dancing, and she sees this man who he kind of looks sickly. He's wearing like a black suit. He gives Yozin a flash drive.
Ooh.
So the guy goes away, and Yozin is finally like, yes, come to me. And she like dances up on him, and Sloane slips the drug into Yozin's drink, but decides to take the flash drive that she has seen him put in his breast pocket. Because she's like, you know what? I don't know what this is, but it might be worth some
information,
money, whatever. And so she does the deed, and it's done. Yeah. And she's been like saving up money because not that she's stuck in St. Petersburg, but she needs enough to like fully move on.
She wants
or
to
like
get out.
Take a full break.
Okay.
So she's doing little by little, but she's got a good nest egg saved. So we switch to Ivan. It's a dual POV. I should have said that. Ivan is leaving his latest fuck buddy, and is mad because she is a married trophy wife. And she's like, we can finally be together. I think I'm going to leave my husband. And he's like, dude, no. Like, ew. Like, why do you think I'd ever...
understand what we're doing here?
He's like, why do you think I would ever be with you? And she's like, are you kidding me? And he's like, no, you're cheating on your husband. Like, that's so bad.
I'm not going to do that.
And she's like, you're fucking me. And he's like, well, I'm not cheating on anyone. It was like, it's so mean. And his internal monologue's like, I'm not usually like this mean, but I really need to like hammer the point home. And he.
But I also understand where he's coming from. In a way.
I'm not cheating on anyone.
Yeah.
But yes.
You've made these choices.
And she's also just very like needy and like she's not painted in a very good light.
Got it.
So he ends up leaving because he gets a call, and his brother, who is his it's Dominic is his name, his top lieutenant, also brother. Tells
Dom
him,
for short, I assume.
For short.
Got it.
Tells him that his shipment of guns has been botched. The shipment did not go through. Remezov, who is a new up-and-comer in the Bratva industry, stole them. And
got it.
Yeah, so he like intercepted them, stole them, and Ivan has like a group of, he lives on this compound. It used to be a monastery. So it's like old bricks but like reinforced, like it's, so they call it the compound now.
Right.
And he lives there with like his, what he calls his family, which is like his soldiers, and he sets Carol, which is a guy, but it's Russian.
Got it.
The youngest one out to just kind of like watch Remezov and see what he's up to.
Yeah.
And we kind of hear a little bit more about like the inner workings. Like he is very close to all his men and just, it's stuff like that. Now we're back to Sloane. She goes home from this kill and she gets sent a new job by Zima, who is her broker. She has never met this guy. It's all online. It's like, you're going to want to take this job, blah, blah, blah. She finds out it's $50,000, or I'm sorry, $500,000
Jesus.
to kill Ivan Petrov. And she wants to take it so she can get a break and get out of St. Petersburg. We then learn a bit more backstory about her. We learn that her dad trained her to, like, since she was, like, 6. Like, he would waterboard her to be like, if you're ever caught, like, this is what you have to learn. Like, he would give her all these, like, things to do because he was ex-CIA. And we learn more about that being, like, he came back to Russia. She followed him because she thought, he said that he was on a job. She thought that was true. It turns out he just had like kind of lost his mind, like from years of like torture and like pressure and stuff like that. So he's now dead. He got hit by a car. So it's not even like anything nefarious. It just happened.
Yeah. And then she was in Russia.
So she was in Russia. And so she started just using the skills that he gave her basically and started doing this. So she's like, okay, fine, I'll take it. She starts following and studying Ivan and basically thinks that he's super duper hot.
That's all she has.
Yes. I mean, and she learns more. We learn, the reader obviously, through her eyes, learn about the compound, learn about like his daily goings on and stuff like that. But mainly
the important thing.
Super hot.
Very hot.
And I have a description, but I'm going to make you cast them.
Yeah, give me a description.
So Sloane, she has dark almond-shaped eyes, wide, bright, thickly lashed eyes, framed by straight black brows. She has a heart-shaped face, slightly square chin, full-lipped mouth, black curly hair, and lightly tan skin.
Salma Hayek.
That's Sloane.
Salma Hayek.
An American. You want Salma Hayek to play an American who speaks Russian.
Yes.
Got it. Okay, I want you to think about that more.
Weirder things have happened.
And then Ivan is dark hair, thick black brows, a long, straight, aristocratic nose, broad jaw, thick black hair, olive skin, stubble.
Roy Kent.
I see that, but I also see someone like a lot more broad. But so you have the rest of the fic to think about.
All right.
So Sloane. Okay, so Ivan was on a compound with his. He has 11 soldiers in the compound at the time. Sloane finds an old tunnel that was dug 400 years ago from a well. She also like goes to the city records and like learns the history of the building.
Like gets in there.
Like yeah, she's very smart, very like thoughtful, very like strong, and I really thought you would like her. So that's kind of why I picked this a lot too. She sneaks in from the well to the basement. She comes up in the boiler room, ends up finding his bedroom, sneaks into the bedroom, sees him sleeping.
Ooh.
I said sneaks into the bedroom to find him sleeping and sees 1, that he's sleeping, 2, that he's sleeping naked.
Yep.
3, again, he's super hot. And she goes to kill him. She has made a cocktail of poison and she is about
She's
to do
going to
it.
like inject him?
So she gets right up next to him and looks at his chest, his broad chest with his speckling of dark hair.
Oh my God.
And then looks back up at his face.
And he's awake.
And his eyes open. So then we go to Ivan's
He
point
could
of view.
sense her horniness, and it awoke him.
Well, so Ivan has always been a light sleeper. He hears the immediately when she walks into the room, he's like, something's not right. And he tricks her. They fight, and her being like very small stature, very like slim, I guess, obviously loses this physical fight, and he pins her to the ground while he is naked. And he fights the assassin, takes off her mask. She's wearing like a balaclava kind of mask. And quote says, I rip off the mask and see the most beautiful woman I've ever seen in my life. He zip ties her to a chair in his like torture basement dungeon room. And is like, I can't trust you, but oh my God, you're so pretty.
Right.
And while this is happening, she reminisces more about how her dad taught her about torture.
Jesus.
So she like knows what to expect. She's like ready for it. And Ivan's like, she's really pretty, and I don't know why, but she was going to kill me, but she didn't. I don't know. So he starts asking her questions, and she cannot answer them because she doesn't know. So it's like, who hired you to kill me? She's like, I have no idea who did that. I just take the job. He then slices off her clothes because she's zip tied to this chair. He slices off her shirt and pants. She's sitting there in her bra and underwear. Then he finally slices off her bra, so she's just sitting there in her underwear. He sees that she is super aroused. He's also very aroused. And then he's like, I got to get out of here. Unzip ties her from the chair, gives her a blanket, and leaves her in that room.
What a gentleman.
Yeah, because it's cold.
Yeah.
Comes back a few hours later with some oatmeal, which apparently smells very delicious.
How?
And
it's oatmeal.
It's like a cinnamon, like slow cooker oatmeal.
No, never. I don't like this fic anymore. I don't agree with
the
oatmeal.
He comes back with a bowl of berries?
Bacon and eggs.
Okay, he comes back with bacon and eggs. That's not true. And he starts hand feeding her because it's been hours at this point. She's cold. She doesn't know how long she's been there.
Wow.
And he's like, listen, like, I don't trust you, but I need you to eat, da-da-da. So he starts doing that. And she starts sucking on his fingers. And because he's feeding her with the, like...
By hand?
Mm-hmm. He's feeding her oatmeal by hand.
Why?
Because he wants to get closer. They're in Russia. This is what Russians do, I guess.
No, it's not. Russians
pretty
have
sure
spoons.
That's what the book says.
Russians know
pretty
what
sure
spoons
there's
are.
no spoons in Russia.
Oh my God. Okay.
And he starts calling her Little Fox because she's wily like a fox. So that's the nickname that he gives. So
she's wily like a fox.
But it's important to say, like, they're both just like really into it, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sensing that. I just wily like a fox got me.
So
tickled me.
He leaves for a second, comes back, and he has brought some rope and says that she will get rewarded or punished if she doesn't answer the questions, which leads to number 1, which I called the best kind of torture. And he ties her like her wrists together and then ties it to like a hook on the ceiling. So she's like standing, but like just barely.
Yeah.
Anytime she gives him an answer, like a correct answer that he needs, he fingers her or he uses a vibrator.
Hot.
And then when a lie is told, he uses a riding crop.
Ooh.
And like spanks her.
Okay. Also hot.
Yeah. And she comes and he gets his answers. And the questions were like, how did she get into the compound and who hired her? So she just said, Zima is my broker. Like, that's all I know. I don't know who told Zima.
Right.
And she describes it as the most intense and pleasurable sexual experience of her life.
Mm-hmm.
So he lets her rest. And he immediately goes to the shower and pleasures himself because
so far he's been very nice to her.
He's been very nice
compared to what she was trying to do.
Correct. So he believes that Remazov, the guy who stole his guns, hired Sloane. He gets called out while he's like figuring all this out. He gets called out to the front gate of his compound, and he gets a package, and it turns out it's Carol, the teenager that he sent out to find Remazov and just watch him.
It's Carol, like Carol's dead?
Yeah, he's in a box.
Oh.
Yep, so
Carol.
Ivan starts raging and he wants to kill Remazov, and he goes to this club that he knows he frequents. He goes and he finds Remazov there with a district minister, which I believe is like maybe a governor or like a mayor.
Yeah, or like an alderman.
Yeah, something
type.
like that.
Yeah.
And the police commissioner. Oof. And it's like this power play. Remazov's like, yeah, like I hang out with them, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Remazov offers him kind of this olive branch, but Ivan is like, absolutely not. I'm going to fucking kill you.
You killed a teenager, et cetera.
Yeah. I think he was like 20, but still.
Still young.
It's still not good. So
murder is bad no matter what age.
Yeah, we do
someone
not
is.
condone murder.
But the young ones hurt the most.
Ivan returns from this meeting, and he returns to Sloane, and she, quote, feels sorry for him and his look of sorrow. And she thinks, I wrote this down, she goes, I tried to kill this man. He captured me, held me prisoner, then gave me the strangest and most intense sexual experience of my life. And now he's making me feel something else altogether, compassion, an emotion I almost never indulge, especially not when it comes to criminals, gangsters, targets. What's happening to me? We're staring at each other with this insane tension between us. I don't know what he's come down for, what he wants, but I know what I want. And so they both, without talking, just like get up and they kind of like run at each other.
Crash into each other?
They crash into each other. Crash into me.
Yep.
And they meet in the middle of the room and bang, number 2, I call bang the feelings away. Which we've all done.
Sad hot is a very powerful kind of hot.
Sad hot is such a good hot.
Yeah.
And afterwards, and they're like in this gross room, and they're like bang. But she's also like been naked for 24 hours.
She's been naked. She presumably hasn't showered. Yeah, there's a lot going on.
And she also went through like all these old tunnels together, so she was gross already.
Yeah.
So after they have sex, he's like, "Do you want to just come up to my room and shower?" And she's like, I do. Ooh. And so he brings her to the room, which leads to number 3. Oh. And I said, well, you can't waste the water. So he sees her showering and immediately is like, number 3, I should shower too.
Number 3, for the environment.
Number 3, for the... We're Earth's cadets.
Yeah.
So after shower sex, they are like laying on his bed, cuddling.
Wow.
And he just starts like letting it all out. And he's like, this is everything that's happened. And they kind of start just like... strategizing together, and they're like teasing each other, and they're like kind of talking, and he sees her as like a professional, like, you know, he really respects her skills, and she respects him because of like everything he's just told her. They're like kind of in the
same field?
Kind
Question
of.
mark? Yeah.
And so she ends up sleeping with him that night, like in the bed. So the next morning he wakes up, he brings her breakfast. He brings her like everything he could think of.
Bacon and eggs?
Including bacon and eggs.
No oatmeal?
No oatmeal. Well, I'm sure there's also some, but maybe for him. Bacon and eggs for her.
Great.
Probably some cinnamon rolls.
No oatmeal. Never oatmeal.
Wow, we are an anti-oatmeal
Oatmeal is
podcast.
never the answer.
Oh, wow.
You think it's good, it's not. Do you think it's good because it sat in a jar in your refrigerator overnight? It's not. It's just more flavorful. That doesn't mean it's good. It's still goop. Oatmeal is goop.
I've never heard you say any of this before.
Oatmeal is goop, pretending to be breakfast.
But like, okay, so instant oatmeal is done. No. Interesting.
All of it is bad.
Once in a blue moon, I do like an oatmeal.
I
never want to pay for it. I want to make it myself.
I ate oatmeal voluntarily when I had strep throat, and so everything hurt, and it was hot enough. Like I would eat it when it was like burning because I thought I could burn the strep out of my throat.
That's not how strep works.
Nope, but it sure felt like it would be good at the time. It was like the pain of the strep was so bad that the pain of the hot was better.
The pain of the hot was better.
Yeah. But anyway, oatmeal is horrible. No one should ever eat it. Please continue this very good story.
So he brings her bacon and eggs.
Yeah.
And he says he's using her ideas from last night to hit Remazov today, which was take out his cash source and then take out his hired guns. Because, you know, his, like, Ivan's thing is that, like, they're all family.
Right.
But all of Remazov's people are all hired. So if he doesn't have the money to pay them, they're going to leave him.
They don't have the loyalty.
Correct.
Yep.
So he leaves her in his room and he locks it. And she realizes, like, the lock has a sensor on it. The windows have, like, she can't get out through the windows. Right. So she makes an escape. She's like, I kind of don't want to. Like, I kind of want to stay here, but I also know, like, I have to go. Like, I have to go.
Yeah.
I'm just his prisoner right now. So she climbs up through he has a huge fireplace. Climbs up through the chimney onto the roof.
She reverse Santa Clauses it.
She pulls her RS, or reverse Santa Claus, and she goes all the way up. It's like a really tall chimney, runs across the roof, jumps to another roof, and like almost misses, and da-da-da-da-da, which we find out that he has cameras everywhere, so he just watched the whole thing.
Yeah.
He got like an alert on his phone, and his guards were like, do you want us to stop her? And he's like, no. Like, and he was like, I'm bummed, but like I get it, and like it had to happen. So
she was my prisoner. It's fine. It's okay.
We could have had something, but she was my prisoner.
I understand.
So they end up stealing Remazov's money from the bank, his diamonds, and send his own men to get the guns out of Remazov's own warehouse, but the warehouse explodes. So it was rigged. He didn't care about anything. So Sloane is now home. She's in her apartment. and she's taking a bath. She's like setting up a bath. She's in her kitchen, like getting a tea, and something flies through her window, and she realizes it's a bomb. So she runs to the bathtub, a la Indiana Jones 4 style, when he goes into the refrigerator. She runs into the bathtub and gets in there just in time so the explosion doesn't happen. Her bathtub falls through these, because it's an old like Russian apartment building. Yeah. Falls through the floor into the next one. She's just like naked, being like, "Get out of here," to the old lady that lives down there. And she gets away.
Okay.
She steals a plumber's van, and she's trying to go to a safe house, but then she thinks that, like, well, whoever's trying to kill her probably knows about her safe house.
Yeah.
And so she ends up just heading back to Ivan's compound, because she's like, I don't know, I'm assuming that someone who wants to kill me is someone who hired me to kill you and now knows that
we
you're
have
not
mutual
dead.
enemies. Yeah.
So they end up coming up with a plan to visit Zima, the broker, and to find Remazov's address, because Sloane found Zima's address, which means that if she could do it, one of the bad guys could do it, therefore finding her. So first she goes to Ivan's room to shower, because she's just in she's in a stolen sweatshirt and like big galoshes at this point.
Yeah, she was going to have a cozy night in, and then this happened.
And he follows her, and it leads to number 4, which leads to him spanking her for leaving him in the first place. And then sex.
Yes.
So I call it, you leave, you come. So they go to Zima's place, and it turns out
Excellent.
They go to Zima's place. He's an 18-year-old kid, and they realize that Remazov is after Sloane because of the flash drive in the very beginning, and it was him, the sickly man, is Remazov.
She took some shit she
took
shouldn't have
the
taken.
flash drive.
Yeah.
And it turns out that the flash drive holds all of this blackmail information for all the higher-ups in Russia.
Wow. Okay.
So they also find out that he did not hire Sloane to kill Ivan, and that the husband of the mistress is the one that hired him. And Ivan goes, I actually feel kind of bad, and like, I just feel bad about this now.
I was mean to her.
So they take Zima to the compound. He's now like just with them all the time.
Right.
He decrypts the flash drive. They like learn all the stuff.
He's like their hacker now.
Yeah.
Cool.
And it turns out it's like really bad stuff. Like it's some like pedophilia kind of stuff. Ugh. So Sloane ends up taking
all those
it.
Guys.
She takes
Die.
it to yes, correct. So Sloane and Ivan decide to release all of it.
Oh,
they're not going to keep it
okay.
because it's some bad shit, and they just don't. They're like, this isn't right. So they end up giving it to an independent journalist in Moscow.
Free journalism is great.
Correct.
Yeah.
And the journalist is like, I don't trust you. And Sloane's like, just take the fucking flash drive. You're going to be happy. So on the train back from Moscow, Sloane went by herself. Ivan was still there. He's waiting in St. Petersburg to pick her up from the train. On the train back from Moscow, Remazov's people end up kidnapping Sloane. She wakes up and she is dressed in this like burgundy ball gown with heels, and like her hair is done, and she's been quote unquote invited to dinner with Remazov.
Oh my god!
Ivan,
what a typical villain.
I know. Like,
I have to monologue and feed you before I kill you.
And he basically just says the like, I'm gonna be the new head of everything, and like you can be with me. And she's like, fuck you, dude. And she realizes that she loves Ivan.
Aww.
And Ivan, meanwhile, has learned that she's kidnapped and ends up, Remazov calls him and is like, I got your girl, you come here. So he brings like a dummy flash drive.
Right.
And there's like a big standoff in the house, and he's holding Sloane hostage. And Zima, who he has also brought along with him, cuts the power of Remazov's whole house.
Great.
So a fight ensues. Remazov grabs Sloane and holds her hostage in another room. And in a moment of couple mind reading, Ivan shoots through Sloane's shoulder into Remazov's heart. Damn. He has like a sniper rifle with him, and just like, boom. So she goes to the hospital for a week. They say they love each other. They go home. They set up a date in the library, and he ends up proposing that night. And they live happily ever after.
How long before the proposal? How about how much time passed from meeting each other to the proposal? 4 weeks?
Maybe. I'd say a couple weeks.
I always respect Kindle Unlimiteds for how fast they move.
When
They're
you know,
like, we got 250 pages.
When you know, you know.
we need to get to the marriage.
So, exactly. But that's like how it ends, and it's just really fun.
That was really fun.
She's a fun.
They're
both actually fun characters.
I don't know why you thought that I would roll my eyes a lot at that.
Because it's like a mafia. But...
Yeah. But, you know, it was still fun.
So in case you have another, I'm just going to say.
Nina Dobrev for Sloane.
Ooh.
I was thinking about it.
Oh,
Nina
that's
Dobrev.
that's great.
Yep.
That's a great idea.
And then
I have Ivan, and then I have Ramazov as well, if you want to
hear
that.
Timothy Chalamet.
No.
Timothy Chalamet with like
sickly
white
looking,
makeup on.
Pale blue eyes, thin lips.
Timothy Chalamet.
I was thinking.
With like pallid makeup.
You're a James Bond fan.
Yeah.
You know the one with, is it Christmas? What's her name? Denise Richards.
Yeah.
And Electra's the other girl, right? And she was held hostage. And the guy that held her hostage that she ends up being in love with, he's like bald and he like has a scar on his face.
I can't remember.
He always wears like a turtleneck. That's who I picture as Ramazov.
That would be great. And then for what's his face? The main character guy. Whatever his name was. Maybe Joe Maglignano. That guy.
Ooh.
Yeah. But I feel like we've talked to him. I feel like we've picked him a lot for muscular brunettes.
Yeah, I get that. He's also very like Italian looking. And I'm thinking more like Russian.
Yeah.
Because he is technically Russian. Also, I did not realize who plays this guy. I don't have a picture of him. It's Robert Carlyle, the guy who he plays Rumpelstiltskin in Once Upon a Time.
Oh,
he plays the bad guy in this, and that's
I know who that is.
Yeah,
that is good casting. Yeah. That's good creepy casting.
That's so funny. Oh my God, that's good. So funny.
Yep, I agree with that as well.
But that was Ivan.
That's good.
It was really. It's a fun one. Yeah,
and I do definitely always prefer to not have a damsel in distress.
Yeah.
And I like that she can hold her own and that she's got her agency and that she's doing what she needs to do and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
I love a professional, no matter what it is.
We also decided that instead of like a big game, I mean, I know I just had you cast my book.
You did. And I was just too excited about the fic. I didn't even come up with a game for
I think that's fair. But
because what would it be? Fuck, marry, what? Oh? Fuck, marry, kill.
But there's only two.
Fuck, marry, kill, Indiana Jones, Rick O'Connell, Evelyn.
I don't want to play this.
Do it. And then edit this all the way to the end of mine as well.
Yeah, I'll try.
Okay.
I don't know if I could do this.
Yeah, you can.
I love Evelyn.
I have mine.
You say yours.
Kill Indy.
That's rude.
Fuck Rick, marry Evelyn. Easy.
I think I have to say the same thing.
Yeah.
I think I have to say I love Indiana Jones.
I know, but
I want to be Evelyn.
Right.
Therefore, and I can't murder her because I have to learn everything from her.
Right.
So I must marry Evelyn.
She would have an incredible library that you could marry into.
Oh, I want that library. And I do love Rick O'Connell.
Mm-hmm. And he would be fun for an evening.
He would be very fun for an evening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Indiana might be a little more of a selfish lover. So
yeah.
I can't wait till we watch all of them together.
Right. Yeah, that'll be, you guys, if you subscribe to the Patreon that maybe one day we'll make.
One day.
We'll do a live stream of us just watching all the Indiana Jones movies.
It'll be you sitting back, crossed arms with a drink in your hand being like, yeah, I like it. And me front of my seat being like, yes.
Actually, for the really high-end subscribers, we'll live stream us watching Clue, which is going to be me sitting silently and Emily quote screaming every single line at the TV.
I don't scream it. I say it with gumption.
I tried twice to watch Clue for the first time, but I couldn't because Emily was there quote screaming at the TV. We had to turn it off.
It wasn't just me. Sean was there too.
Yes, and I couldn't hear it over everyone's like, and then this part's about to come on. And I had to be like, I'm watching this alone, and then I will tell you how I feel about it.
And then you loved it.
Oh, it's great. It's a wonderful movie, but I had to be like, I'm going to isolate myself because I can't watch it with any of you.
Oh, I'm so sorry, but also I regret nothing. That's so good.
You're too excited.
I was too excited. I'm like a puppy. I get too excited.
I mean, you love what you love.
Speaking of love.
Speaking of love, we thought to close out the Valentine's Day episode, it would be good to name our fictional Valentines.
Boyfriends. Fictional Valentines.
Yeah.
You know, on Book Talk, you call it book boyfriends, but this is Femmes Reading Filth. So we're spreading it across all media, really.
Yeah. So I kind of focused on, where my brain went first was like pairings, fanfic characters that I like and that I read a lot. I do have some honorable mentions and that are like movie and TV characters.
Honorable mentions as well. So you want to go back and forth?
Yeah.
Okay, say your first one.
Okay, my first one is, it's a controversial one.
Oh, God.
It's a dark one. Tom Riddle. I know. Hold on. I went back because I was thinking of things for this, and I was like, I wonder what pairings I read a lot of. And I went back. My bookmarks are mostly Hermione, and I didn't realize.
Wow.
But it's a very specific. It's not. I need to get ahead of this. It's a very common trope. She travels back in time, and they meet when he's like 16.
Pre-evil? Well, he's always been evil.
Still, he's on the edge. He's on the edge.
Of glory.
And she saves him.
Okay.
And that's the
trope. So she changes him?
She doesn't necessarily change
him. She fixes him.
But she usually, like, introduces knowledge to him or, like, steers him in another way. But it's, like, very usually dark academia. Mm-hmm. They're both the smartest people, and they find each other. There's a lot of, like, you're mine. And
love that.
Mm-hmm, and I always read the ones where he goes another way and doesn't turn into a racist, fascist monster, and instead turns into a super hot, powerful, legal prime minister of some kind.
Oh my God. Of course,
also,
business would be an element.
The guy that plays Tom Riddle in the second Harry Potter movie, hot.
No, he is cute. He's a cutie.
Yeah, he's hot.
Okay, that reads very well. I feel like these are going to be very like...
But I haven't done any Hermione because it's so dark.
Yeah.
And I don't want to scar our audience. But maybe we'll have a prompt that fits well enough that will bring Hermione
maybe our guest this season, I should say, will pick something really dark because you and I both have a lot of really dark stuff in our repertoire.
But we're not going to voluntarily show that to you guys.
Absolutely
because
not.
We don't want to reveal that much of ourselves.
Correct.
Unless we're forced to. Okay, what's yours?
Okay, so I don't have them in any specific order because I cannot.
Neither do I. Yeah.
But if I'm going based on like my youth to now.
Do you have like a top 3?
I do.
Okay. Because I have a top 3 and then I've got some honorable
I have a top
mentions.
3 and then I have honorable mentions and then I have another one that's kind of there that I'm like,
okay.
I won't say that one.
Give me one of your top 3.
Top 3. Hector, Prince of Troy from the Iliad. I have.
Do you picture the movie Hector from Troy?
Well, yes.
Okay.
I picked
Eric Bana?
Eric Bana.
Yep.
From the movie Troy. But there is also a miniseries called Troy Fall of a City.
Uh-huh.
And the guy who plays Hector on that is super hot. Mm-hmm. And I remember vividly when I was in my classics, I was getting my certificate of my baccalaureate. And we were discussing the Iliad, and I went off on someone because my fangirl came out in full force. And I just started being like, well, everything's always about Paris. It's never about Hector, and he's such a good person. He's so loyal. He's an upstanding citizen. He loves his wife and son. Like, he does everything for his family. Like, I went off.
That's incredible.
And it was like a group of, like, there was like 10 of us in the class because it was like a grad class.
Yeah.
It was 10 of us and like our professor, and I literally said all this stuff, and I went, I didn't realize I am so sorry. I didn't realize I felt that way. Great. And then I wrote a whole thesis on it, and so that's how I got my master's.
You wrote a whole thesis about how Hector is better than Paris.
Yes, my whole thesis is how much I love Hector.
Yep.
So seriously, one of my first ever like girl,
I love
big
that.
Like literature girl crushes.
Yeah.
So hard. I have a mug that says "Do It for Him," like Simpson style, with pictures of Eric Bana as Hector from Troy.
That's great.
Have you ever seen it? I'll show it to you after
Please
this.
show it to me after this.
It's my favorite mug.
That's incredible.
So that's my first one.
That's a great one. Okay, my second one, Jerry from Succession.
Wait, which one's Jerry?
Jerry is the lady who is...
Because I don't watch Succession.
Oh, girl.
Is she in... It's a girl.
It's a girl.
Okay.
She is like she has worked for the company for like 40 years. Her husband also worked for the company. She worked her way up to like being a very high-powered position. And her and Roman Roy, who is one of the kids, played by Kieran Culkin, total shithead. They have this weird like... kind of like sexual, like kind of BDSM-y but not thing in the show, and there's some excellent fanfic between them.
Okay.
That I've reread. Like some of it is
Oh,
really, really
her?
good. Yes.
Got it. Okay.
Yes, she's
Okay.
great. What's the actress's name? Does it say?
J. Smith Cameron?
Yes, J. Smith Cameron. She's amazing.
She's cool.
And
I've seen her and stuff.
I read that pairing. I went through a period where I was reading that pairing a ton, and I was like, I'm not really like super attracted to Roman Roy though. And then I like did some deep looking. I was like, no, it's Jerry. Jerry is the draw for me. A really well written Jerry is great because she's so snarky and mean
which you
to
love.
Roman, which I love. She's terrifying.
Oh, that's
she's
so funny.
Deeply capable. She drinks martinis all the time.
Love that.
Like, so we can like make a mean martini together and talk shit and dom Kieran Culkin together. And like, I love her and love reading fics about her and like her background and her like there's whole like, this is where we think Jerry was 10 years ago and like how she met her first husband and how she climbed the ranks of the company and all this stuff. So Jerry is my second one.
That's so funny. I'll skip to... I have one that's like fully book. Because so Hector's like all media.
Yeah.
One that's fully book and then one that's fully film.
Okay.
Rick O'Connell. I wrote him down. Yes. And I said, it's because he's not afraid of a strong, smart woman.
Or man.
We've
learned.
Apparently. Very protective. Very quippy and funny.
Yeah.
And
I respect that.
We've already talked a lot about him, so I'll keep
We
it
don't need to
short.
get into
But
it.
It's so funny because I put him like the first one I wrote down
Nailed
when
it.
we were talking about media Valentines, I should say.
I love that.
All right, so now you go.
Andrew Garfield in almost any character he's ever played. I have read.
My first thing is the Facebook one.
I have read the Social Network fanfic. I read Tick Tick Boom. I have read his
Tick Tick
Spider-Man
Boom.
specifically, not the other Spider-Man. That Spider-Man.
Peter Spider-Man.
Peter Spider-Man. I've even read a little bit of Andrew Garfield RPF, I'm ashamed to say.
Oh.
And there's something about his little doe eyes.
He's so pretty.
And
he's a pretty boy.
According to a TikTok that I saw of a lady that watered his plants, he has a crafting room in his home, and he knows a lot about astrology.
He does.
I just have a huge crush on him, and it transfers to every character he's ever played.
Yes.
Like, I think of the fanfic I've read, Andrew Garfield's characters have been a big part of my fanfic reading journey.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
He has the vibe that like I would not help I would flirt with him and I couldn't help it.
Yeah.
I'd flirt with him and then I would make him blush.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be able to help myself.
He's a Leo. And so he like does the thing of like
That's my moon.
of like
That's my moon
of
right
like
there.
oh well don't you know
Yeah,
but
yeah.
oh stop, but he's secretly like eating it up and you can
Yes.
tell like that's the I've seen it because of course Tumblr has shown me interviews
And the TikTok.
and the TikToks. Yeah, so,
So
all of
good.
Andrew Garfield's characters.
That's a good one. My last Valentine,
Okay.
Castile Daenerys from
Fair.
Blood and Ash.
Fair.
Or Hawk.
Also fair.
Also fair. So both of those characters
Yep.
are very
Very hot.
attractive to me.
Very hot.
Because they're very much like, who did this to you? They have
Yep.
that kind of feel to them.
Capable. They're strong.
They're capable. They also not afraid of a strong woman.
True.
Also want to like very consensual, very like I want to do what's best for you.
Yep. Turned on by a strong woman.
Super
even,
hot.
might I say?
Turned on by a strong woman.
Yep.
The description of Castile is very attractive to me. It's
Yep.
like curly, dark hair. It's like looking at me in a mirror. Let's be honest.
I mean, fair.
It's not. That was a joke, and sometimes that
You
doesn't
gotta love
translate.
yourself to love other people.
I
Apparently,
do love myself.
That's the pop saying.
But yeah, when I actually even I Googled like book boyfriends, like because I wanted some inspiration.
Yeah.
And there was a ton from Akatar, and I was like,
None of them are my book boyfriends. Though.
I do like them, but I don't want them. And then this one was written, and I go, oh my god, absolutely!
Absolutely.
Like, there's a reason I reread all of those books.
Yeah.
Because Castile, baby, so hot. So those are my top Valentines. Do you have others? Or you want to go to honorable mentions?
I have honorable mentions.
Okay, let's go to those.
Ted Lasso.
Oh, why didn't I even think of that?
Ted Lasso, especially after reading Tessa Bailey's Window Shopping.
I'm furious with you right now because now I want to put. I'm going to put Roy Kent on mine too.
Great.
But not on an honorable mention.
You want him in the 3?
Yes.
Who are you kicking out?
No one. I'm
For
having
Roy Kent?
4 now.
All right, fine.
I'm having 4.
Mine is specifically Ted Lasso.
Okay.
Because I think he would talk a lot, and I'm into that. He can't shut the fuck up in the show.
Why is that a thing for you?
I don't know.
You just... Okay. I'm not mad about
Sometimes you just like things.
It just wasn't what I was expecting, but I'm very happy.
I think the mustache would be interesting. And he'd be really, really encouraging.
I think a mustache.
And really complimentary.
Everything you're saying, I'm absolutely loving.
I think he would tell me I was doing a really good job.
So words of affirmation?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, that makes me so happy.
He would bake me cookies and
yes.
tell me I was doing a good job. This is all
nice.
I want.
You want him as your coach. You want him as your personal coach.
No, I want to bang him while he does both of those things.
Why is he an honorable mention and not a Valentine?
Because the other three, I was thinking more in a fanfic lens, and I have not read much Ted Lasso.
Okay.
But if I'm just thinking of like characters from media, he's definitely up there.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's kind of where my honorable mentions are, is more just like overall, not necessarily like reading habits.
Okay.
Yeah.
Say all three of your honorable mentions. And
Ted
I'll say
Lasso, Rhaenyra Targaryen from House of the Dragon.
Okay.
Played by Emma Darcy.
Yeah.
They are incredible and incredibly attractive, and just I shouldn't have to say much about that. And then the OG, the beginning of it all, Draco Malfoy.
Okay.
Because you can't, I wouldn't be here if I didn't.
None of us would be here if
go,
Draco wasn't.
You know what? I want to read about Draco Malfoy railing people. And
I get it.
It's the beginning of the end for me. So those are my honorable mentions. What
really good.
What are yours?
My honorable mentions are not in that vein. Mine are like, I like him except for one thing, so therefore they can't be a book boyfriend.
Got it. Okay.
Number one, Captain America.
What's the one thing you don't like about Captain America?
He would put his country first. He's really hot. He's very chivalrous.
He has to love me more than America.
But I need to come first in the relationship.
Yeah.
But also, I love the idea. My also thought was, yeah, when I die, then you can move on. You can't even move on. I'm 80. You're still looking 25. No.
Wow.
No. So
Wow. Okay.
yeah, I need to be put first in the country.
All right.
Number 2.
Okay.
JD from Heathers.
Oh man, yeah.
Until he goes crazy.
I understand that though. The musical
one,
JD.
not the movie
one.
It's specifically the musical JD.
The British one or the original Broadway cast?
I want to say I like both.
Okay.
But we wouldn't be here without the original Broadway cast.
I know, but I love the West End.
I know
Jamie.
you do.
Yeah.
But
yeah, so what's the one thing you don't like about him? What could it be?
He gets murderous.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, it's I remember being like, he's so romantic.
Yeah.
And I know, and I love that movie. I know what happens.
Yeah.
But every time I'm like, maybe this time he'll change. Maybe this time he won't want to kill everyone. So love that. And then last honorable mention, I put Hades from retellings.
Right.
So not mythological Hades. I like Hades specifically from Lore Olympus, the webtoon comic. If you have not read it, it is wonderful. Please go read it.
I need to.
Yeah, but I don't. I don't really like him in the myth.
Because he's rapey.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
But it turns out okay, so it's fine. That's what the myth says, so it's fine.
He literally like pops out of the ground and goes
to
surprise
save
and
her
grabs
from
her.
Apollo. Kind of. Anyways, it's murky. But in the retellings,
he's hot.
Very usually like very consensual, very like understanding. But sometimes in some retellings, he's very much like, I must keep you safe. And then Persephone gets all angry. But like in Lore, he's very much like, I want to do whatever you want to do. Like, I just really love you. Yeah. And so I really like that. So it's specifically the Lore Olympus Hades. But yeah.
Those are good.
Thank you.
Those are good. I think I am noticing a trend in our Valentines though. I am too.
There's
some darkness in our choices. Sure.
We've always been pretty dark.
For sure. I thought about the Phantom from the Phantom of the Opera.
Of course you fucking
ultimately didn't include them, but
no, you should not.
Yeah.
That is a bad person.
It's a bad person, but like preteen me was changed by that movie.
Another honorable mention I had that I didn't say was Percy Jackson.
Oh, I could see that for you.
But when you reread those, he is a child.
I never read those.
Oh, I love them so much.
Didn't read them.
But I was thinking more of like when I was young.
Yeah.
What did I think? So it was I loved Percy Jackson.
Oh yeah, yeah. When I was young, it was definitely like the Phantom, all the Harry Potter ships. Obviously, now I have my only like very select few. And then Jacob from Twilight.
Oh my God, you liked Jacob?
I did. I thought Edward was annoying and whiny.
Oh, I also thought Angel from Buffy. That was a big one for me.
That's a good one.
Which I didn't put because he's kind of a...
Oh.
What'd you say?
Ned from Ned's Declassified School.
That's it. We love...
Such
that's
a thing. Such a type.
I fucking love Ned.
I thought he was so sweet.
I just rewatched it and I was like, yeah, my crush was
still there.
That
show
holds up.
It still holds up. It's a good show.
Hey, if you're out there, the guy who played Ned,
I think they have a podcast.
We should do a crossover. We'll read
Ned,
some
you changed us.
Ned's Declassified
I'm
fanfic.
sorry. I'm sorry if you hear this.
I'm not sorry.
Okay, Emily's
Call
not
me
sorry.
Up. I'm single. You might be
I don't
single.
want you to feel weird, but...
It's not weird. We're big fans, and I find you attractive.
I mean, they probably know. Like, the whole cast probably knows that.
That we all like Ned?
Yeah.
We should make a mention of Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide at least once every few episodes.
Okay.
So we can stay on their radar.
Okay. So I am going to challenge you to try to sneak in Ned's Declassified School Survival Guide, that phrase.
You know I'll do it.
As much as you can.
You know I'll do it.
Okay. I'm going to be listening for it
in
season 2.
Listen, you're here. You can...
I know, but I might not remember that it's part of the bet.
That's fair.
Yeah. I'm expecting some wordplay
I
from you.
Wait. I have to learn how to talk good again.
Yup. Well, happy Valentine's Day.
Hey, yeah, be safe, be happy.
Thanks for joining us. I hope you're okay with how loose this one was.
We had some gin.
We're getting back in the swing of it. We also, we had a lot of gin.
Yeah.
And we will be back soon with season 2.
Yeah, with our new guest and some new tropes. And get excited, guys.
Yeah, so keep an eye on the Insty and stuff. We'll be posting, I can say Insty.
Keep that Insty open.
That Insty, we'll be posting some updates so you know when to expect that. But in the meantime, thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye. Femmes Reading Filth is hosted, produced, and edited by Emily Barusian and Jessica Mall. Intro music by Tom Lehrer. Outro music by David Reddick. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Femmes Reading Filth. Thank you for listening.
Bye.
Bye.